Okay, so we just figured out that if Diane wants to build, and it's going to cost her $300,000 to build this expansion, and she has $100,000, and she has an annual interest rate of 500 or 5.4%, and she wants to do her expansion in 18 months, she would have to add over $10,000 a month into this account here to get to this number at the end of 18 months. Well, as we read on, she doesn't have that money. She can't do it. All she can put in here, the most she can put in here is $7,500. So now what we're going to try to figure out is what would the goal be? What would we have at the end of 18 months if we started with $100,000 and put in $7,500 a month? Okay, so here's our wild card. This is what we're going to try to figure out right here. Okay, I've already got investment goals typed in A6 like it says in step 1 of 495. Okay, so that's what we're going to try to figure out is what's going to be in C6. But we're going to start with the same numbers here. Nothing here is going to change. All I have to do is copy this down. So I'm going to go ahead and go equals, oops, no. This is $100,000 in the negative. This is our wild card, so we're going to put our formula in there. I'm going to copy this down just from D5 to H5. Okay, and now in here I can only put in $7,500. So I've got all my variables in here. I just got to figure out what this number here is. So this is the future value, investment goal. This is what am I going to get to? If I start with $100,000, I add $7,500 each month for 18 months at this monthly interest rate. How much money will I have at the end of the 18 months? Equals future value. Double click on my icon there, get my dialog box up. My rate is F6, it's not D6, it's F6. Number of periods is 18 periods, it's a year and a half. The payments I'm going to make are $7,500, and my present value is $100,000. I press OK, and there's my answer. What this is simply saying, if I start with $100,000, I add $7,500 a month, every month, for 18 months, and I get this monthly interest rate, this is how much money I'll have at the end of the 18 months. Because you have to understand, this is why we break it down by monthly interest rates here. Here's an example why. When I add my first payment, say it's January, and I have $100,000, and then I add my first payment of $7,500. The bank is going to figure out that the $100,000 plus $7,500 is now $107,500, and it's going to earn this monthly interest rate for the first month. And so it adds that interest into there. And then the next month in January, I add another $7,500. Now I have $115,000 plus the interest from the first month, and what interest I'm going to get on this for the second month, which is a higher number because now I'm putting my own money into it. That's why we have to break it down into months. We can't just say the annual interest rate is 540 because we're going to add money to this every month. And what Excel is going to want to know, well, what's the monthly? Okay, so that's why we do it that way. Okay. All right, so what does she want to know next? She wants to know, well, let's say that we're not going to be able to do our expansion with this. We need to have $300,000. Okay, so now she wants to know, well, gosh, if I can still put $7,500 into this account at these interest rates, how long would it take for me to get to $300,000? Okay, and that's called the NPER, the number of periods. We're going to try to figure out how many periods it's going to take for me to put in this much money to get to this. Because $7,500 doesn't work for a year and a half, so we have to figure out how many months it's going to take for me to get to this with this amount of income. Okay, so we're going to go to A7, and I am currently at the middle of page 496. We want to know how many months or how many number of periods. Oops, I did that wrong. NPER. Okay. So it says to copy and it says to do some things. So we're going to do it this way. I do want to make this is one of the trickier ones. We have a couple of the formulas down here. Okay, so let's do it by the book. B5 to F5. We're going to take all the same B5 to F5. We're going to copy those. Okay. And then the number of months, let's see, copy the values and formulas in HI to H6. H6 to I6. H6 to I6. Copy. Paste. Okay. Now you'll notice I paste 1.5, but I got a 0. Again, remember, I have a formula in there, and that formula is G6 divided by E6. When I go here, the formula is G7 divided by E7. Here, I've got no number in G7, so it's just giving me a 0. Okay. When I get my number in here, this will change. Okay. So let's see what we're going to do. So now I've got all my variables. I got the starting amount, my goal, the interest rate annually divided by how many periods I do for the year, my monthly rate, and how much I'm going to put in each month. So let's go here. It's going to be NPER. Double click, single click. The rate, again, is F7. Payment is here. Present value is $100,000 and my future value. Okay, now press OK. Notice how it shows that, oh my gosh, instead of 18 months, it would take almost just shy of 2 years for this $100,000 to build up to $300,000 at a rate of adding $7,500 each month at that monthly interest rate. It would take me almost 2 years. Okay, so we're going to see in a second that that's not really an option for Diane, but I want you to take a look at those two, do them again, do them over and over again, and remember, oh, I got to do this. I got to go back over here and make this my output, and then this one is my output, and then I'm done for those two. Okay, again, keep in mind, if you haven't caught this yet, these are just my variables, and if I've got all but one, I can figure out what the other one is. Okay, one of the next couple one we're going to do is what if I find a different annual interest rate. Okay, and then go on and so forth. So take a look at this, do it again over and over again, understand it, and we will we'll carry on at the top of page 497 when we come back.